Today, I'm very excited to introduce Sylvain, a very dear partner who are doing very special work. I won't spoil it for you. I'll let him explain. But Sylvain, welcome. Thank you. I'll be very happy to
Thank you.
So I'll let you go for it.
So thank you for the invitation. I'm really glad to be here in London today. So I'm Sylvain de Noncin. As you can probably hear, I'm French. And I'm the CEO of Okeenea, which is a company which creates solutions to make the world more accessible for people with disabilities.
Amazing. And I know this, I like to believe I know this well, but for our listeners, what is the vision? If you can tell us about kind of why or how you start the company, and then where you like to be, the vision, the kind of the North Star. What does that look like?
So basically, the challenge is that there is 1.3 billion people in the world with a type of disability. And for all those people, mobility is a huge, huge challenge. They have to face strong difficulties in their everyday life. And so we started 30 years ago creating solutions to help them in their everyday life. So we started developing what we call audible pedestrian signals. So I know that in the UK you have some equipments with a pin. And so in 1993, 30 years ago, we developed a first remote activation pedestrian signals with voice. And we implemented quite widely, 300,000 units now in France. And so the users can cross the streets. We developed audio beacons, multi-sensory maps, tactile walking surface indicators. So we design, produce equipments for people with disabilities. And we know that technologies can really help them to enhance their mobility and to be really autonomous in their everyday life. So we have to take those technologies and bring them to the users.
So that gives me a couple of questions. And again, we met before, but I'm also learning new things today. I'll start with my first question. Where would you like to see this? I think in one of your interviews, you mentioned about you just mentioned the world population and the world population with accessibility needs. And then you mentioned, I think, the percentage of those users who have smartphones in their pockets. So that's not an amazing opportunity where the timing just feels right, because now we have the smartest things we have in our pockets, and some maybe soon as glasses or wearables, etc. too. Where do you see this going? And when do you think you believe you've now enabled that solution? Because 30 years is a very long time and must have been a lot of hard work, a lot of blood and tears. Where do you see this going, and where do you think where would you like to see this go, basically?
Actually, 30 years ago, it was the beginning of personal computers, I would say. No internet, no smartphones. So it was long for users to take a new solution, to learn how it works. We had some specific GPS beginning of 2000, but the process was really long for users to learn about how this new technology works. And now with the smartphone, we have the capacity to bring a real mobility companion in the pocket of users. And what is amazing, I think, with this technology is that the users know how to use it. So the time to learn a new use is very short. And the high things, I think, is that you can do singularity. The smartphone is the same, but we all have different apps, settings. So we have the capacity to learn about the abilities of the users and to bring them the best experience. And we know that today in the world, between 85 to 90% of people with disabilities use a smartphone because it's a real key to open the world.
90%?
Yeah, almost 90%.
Effectively, what hopefully that means is, if we do our job well, if you do your job well and we are successful, that effectively can scale to 90% of the population that needs these kind of tools. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, this is a perfect statement. And our vision, because we work under inclusive design, many innovations have been made for people with disabilities, like the TV remote control, SMS. This was for deaf people at the beginning. And so we have many examples that when you start developing, innovating for people with disabilities, then it can bring a very high value for all the people. But if you only design a solution for valid people, probably you will exclude 15 to 20% of the population.
And maybe it's good this is something I learned during kind of our journey as Pointr as well, but something that maybe wasn't obvious to me because, of course, living in the cities we live in, you see people with some visible disabilities, visible needs. But then, a visually impaired person with a walking cane, that person needs help. Or maybe has kind of some special needs. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But what I learned, there are actually a lot of hidden, disabilities out there that we don't realize at all, actually.
Yeah, we know that about 80% of people with disabilities have what we call an invisible handicap. So it means every day you meet people, you don't know they have issues. I talked about 1.3 billion people in the world. 500 million are cognitive, mental, they have mental disabilities. 500,000, it's about 500 million. It's more about hearing issues, deaf people. 250 million, it's about visually impaired people. So yes, 80% of those people have issues. And even for deaf people, orientation is not so easy. We learned that even for deaf people, language, classical signage with text is not the best way to give them a full autonomy in their everyday life. So yes, our common vision is to bring the best of user experience technologies, and at the end, it's to just give them a simple tool to use to be fully autonomous and to have the capacity to just meet friends in a new location. When you have a disability, it takes time to prepare your journey. Okay, you have to check on the web. Is it a restaurant which is accessible? If there's some tactile walking surface because I'm blind. So here we bring them spontaneity.
So I think one thing worth mentioning is together, of course, we're working on enabling a great solution for the users who will benefit from those. But of course, this is a much bigger world than only two companies can address. But specifically about what we address, to add some context there. So hopefully you already know this by now. At Pointr, we build indoor location and mapping at scale. What's been sold for the cities with GPS and tools like Google Maps, our mission is to solve it for every building out there. The second you go inside a building, those tools stop. That's where we pick it up. And it's been a lot of R&D. It sounds simpler than it is because to get it working at scale, to do it for one building or two buildings, is kind of simpler. But the second you're talking about thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of buildings, it's a completely different ballgame. That's what we've been very hard at work for. And I like to believe, we are now seeing the results. We're live in more than 34 countries and billions of square feet, which again makes us very happy and also enables us to partner with special companies and special partners like Okeenea. So that's kind of what we bring to the table, but maybe it's useful for the audience to hear from kind of your solution and how it works.
Yeah, sure. So the starting point, it's exactly what you mentioned. Outdoor people can maybe navigate using the GPS. It's really not adapted, but still it works. But when it was about navigating in a university, in a metro, in hospitals, large venues, no signal, no way to be really autonomous. So this is where we met, because we started working in our solution, which is an indoor wayfinding app, which bring which adapt, I would say, the user experience regarding their abilities. So the routes, the interfaces are adapted. I mean, if you are blind, it's voice instructions. If you are in a wheelchair, we will obviously just give you the routes which are adapted with elevators, for example. If you are deaf, you have iconography, you have simple text, etc. Now we have features for cognitive limited people because 1 to 1.5 people in the world have orientation issues. Probably you know people that are always wrong about the right hand, left hand. This is the very first step of orientation issues. But for some people, new buildings are just a black hole. And even though you come every day to this building, it's like a new one every day. So we started working with this vision to put a mobility companion in their pocket. And when we started this project, our vision was we need to focus on user experience. And this is a huge job, to adapt one app which has to be free for the users. They don't have to pay to access buildings. And we thought that just the user-centric design part is huge. So we decided to buy actually the indoor positioning system, and we tried different systems. And we had to face different issues because when it's about guiding a blind person in a metro station, you need accuracy and you need to bring them safety, something that is very comfortable. And we had many issues regarding the accuracy, which was not good, the stability of the blue dot. And in 2021, we had a big pilot project with the Metro of Lyon. And the technology that we were using at that time was not good enough, so the pilot was not working. And we tried to find a better technology to meet our objectives. And that's where we met Pointr.
I was just about to ask, could you find that technology? And I'm glad. And again, this was very, very happy because, it's not very often that, of course, I love what we're building, but what you're building is incredibly special because it's improving people's daily lives on a daily basis. It's a different kind of hopefully satisfaction. I know, you need to have that satisfaction in you, and then that's what makes you get out of bed and, being able to help and actually make a positive impact. But for us to be a partner, part of this, in our way, to be in the background to enable for you to build these great experiences is very satisfying for us. And I know across our company, every time we share anything about our joint work, the entire team feels, they feel either goosebumps or like they feel proud that they're working on something that's making a positive difference. And again, I don't want to take the credit because we're just doing one part of a larger solution that you guys are building. So we're very happy to be partnering with you.
Yeah, and this partnership allows us to meet our objectives. It was a success, this pilot installation in the Metro of Lyon. We need to have about 1 meter accuracy. And at that time, we had 3 to 4 meters accuracy, 1 position per second. Now we have 1 meter, 20 position per second. So we removed many filters, like Kahneman filters that we put on our technology. And with yours, we were able to remove all the filters we put and just take the signal and bring a high value to our users.
And we still have more work to do. One of the challenges I know is when you talk about public places, indoor is maybe more clear in users' minds, but then you have bus stations that are just outside the building. Some are sheltered, some are not sheltered. Well, how do you switch between indoor location and GPS? And GPS can be, very unreliable as well at times, as we know. Again, most users get the best experience with GPS because they're driving. Now, when you're driving, guess what? GPS or your Google Maps knows you're on that road driving. So even if you're 10 meters behind or 10 meters ahead, you don't care, because it's the same road and the car is locked, it's snapped to your route. But I welcome everyone to try Google Maps in a pedestrian mode. It's a completely different experience. It will not know whether you're on this pavement or across the street. Now, for maybe some users it might not matter that much, but for users who need that information, that's just not going to work. So we still have more work to do, but again, I'm very happy we are making progress, and I'm very excited about more of our kind of projects that you and I know that are in the pipeline that I think will make a very positive impact to cities all around the world.
Yeah, sure. And so regarding this partnership, today we have 20 happy customers. We cover about 1 million square meters, 10 million square feet. So we equip different metro tubes in Paris, in Lyon, soon in Greece. And we equipped, we work a little bit with the Logan Airport too with you. We equipped also some hospitalities. We have a partnership with Accor Hotels. So we work with Pullman, Sofitel. And another use case I love is Sanofi has a strong vision regarding inclusion. And they contacted us last year saying, okay, we want to improve the user experience of our employees. So we started the pilot together in Paris in their headquarters. And one of the users, which is an employee of the company and is blind, is when he tried the app, the feedback was, okay, first, it will really help me in my everyday life as an employee of the company. Secondly, it gives me a very good vision of my own company that brings this service to me. And so they were very happy with the solution, and then we deployed also the solution for them in their headquarters in Boston. So yes, we have good projects on track. For example, the next one that we have now is the Grand Palais in Paris. It's an iconic building, I would say, in Paris. It's a huge one, and it will be one of the Olympic Games venues that will host some competition of the Olympic Games. So we have to deliver it before summer, obviously.
I know that project even before it was signed, because especially our French team members were looking at photos saying, we'd love to be in this building. So this gives them pride. And I think it's also worth mentioning your expansion into the US, where we see a lot of, opportunity with museums, airports, public transportation as well. That I think so. That's already started, but this is not a European-only initiative. But this is, I think, the next chapter sounds like it's going to be in the US for both of our companies.
Yeah, exactly. I know you are already based in Boston, and we created a branch of our company last November in New York State. So yes, we're going to start working with you in the US. So now we have this Sanofi building in Boston. We work for a big association in San Antonio too. And we have very good contacts with other customers in the US.
So I hope by this point you're wondering, how do we get started? Actually getting started isn't as complicated as it may sound. We are very agile. We want to make this work for buildings. So I'll let Silvan explain how I have a building. I want to improve my experience across the building for visitors, for the actual everyday users, or even the facilities, staff, etc. So for everyone who may need solution, how do they get started?
So the good news is that we worked a lot. So now it's not, just a proof of concept, an innovation, just a PowerPoint. This is a real product, easy and plug and play, easy to deploy. If you want first to do pilot, we can do a pilot, obviously. But today we have customers, they just understand the product. We can bring them to existing building where we deploy the solution, and then we can start. So once we have the maps of the building, it can take 1 month to deploy the whole solution in very large venues. It's very efficient process. And at the end, the users can download the app for free, have a great experience. And this is today a product which is quite scalable. So we will be really happy to explain why and how this type of wayfinding solution bring a very high value to your employees, visitors, customers, because it gives them a very smooth experience of your building and it helps them to reach your services. If you have a building, this is to provide services, and this is a very good way to give an easy access to the services that you give to your riders, customers, employees.
And maybe I shouldn't be asking this question, but would you say, cost is a big concern for the buildings you work with? Have you ever been regarded expensive, or would you rather say it's a low cost, easy to deploy solution?
No, it's easy to deploy. It's not expensive. This is digital, so you can easily on the back office change the names of the rooms. You can close part of a building. If you are doing building work, for example, we can close some routes to avoid those locations for the user for a certain period of times. You get analytics also to learn more about the way your building is used. So it's not expensive, it's quite easy to deploy, and it's possible for us to do this job anywhere in the world.
Amazing. Maybe on that note, for us as well, we pride ourselves in super quick setup. We have an AI-based mapping technology, as you already know. So the second we mentioned, all they need to provide really is a floor plan of the building. And those always exist. Architects, when they construct a building, they need to produce a floor plan. If you get a floor plan file, pretty much that's all we need. And we just need to kind of the blessing of the building to say, yes, come and deploy the solution. And that's how we've today deployed our largest deployments out there. So, and almost always someone starts with one key building where they want to see the technology in action. And after they like it, they just go, okay, this works. I'm going to take this to all my offices now, or all my kind of stations now, etc. And that's been working very well. So it really is easy to get started. And, we will love you to, give this a good consideration for your buildings, because this is a very good, value add for your users.
And maybe, Igor, you can say a word about the infra, because some customers understand how we can have this indoor positioning system. Do we need infra? Is it very difficult to install? Do we need to take power and wires? And
great question. That's a fantastic question. The answer is, the good news is, the infrastructure is incredibly lightweight. It's plug and play. As a company, we are hardware agnostic. Our goal is to make it scale. And if we had to do wiring and all of those things, it wouldn't scale. So by design, we have to make it scalable. To give you an example, most recently, our team literally flew in from Boston to an airport. In the morning, they flew in. They deployed that entire concourse, which was, I think, close to 1 million square feet, the same day, and flew back the same night. I saw the guys in the office and saying, hey, why you guys here? We have it done. So we really, and we didn't get there easily. It's been more than 10 years. Not as impressive as 30 years, but we've been working on how can we make this scalable in over 10 years. And then I like to believe we've now cracked the code. We can deploy super quickly. And it's plug and play. So I know earlier on I said, when you first did the kind of the introductory to the company, I personally didn't realize, I know you guys have been around for a long time, but 30 years is a very long time. And today I think you see companies that get popular in 1 year or 2 years, and all of a sudden they're the biggest, and people assume they've dedicated their lives. But in your case, you have actually dedicated a significant portion of your life to making this happen. And I'm not sure if you've come across this, and this really isn't staged, it just came up in my mind. I came across this talk. It talked about the success of Wright brothers. And I think it was from Simon Sinek, but I might be absolutely wrong here. It talked about how they had a big competitor in New York at the time. And it was the best funded, this company's going to make it, etc. They have the, funding-wise, they had all the money in the world, all the top engineers and everything. And Wright brothers, again, as the name suggests, were two brothers, right? And it was a very small, very scrappy initiative. And they kept making mistakes, and they're risking their lives. And I think we all know today, they've been successful. They taught us how planes work. And the other company, as soon as they came up with their first product, and that worked, that is, the other company just shut down its doors. And it was talking about the story about, you need to have that passion in you. So to me, it just talks about to solve their problem, you need to be really passionate about their problem. It's not about funding. It's not about the opportunity. It really is, again, there are a lot of other factors too, but that passion is, to me, is the key component. So how would you describe your journey? What gets you out of bed?
Actually, today we have more than 100 employees, and every morning, all of them just keep in their mind that whatever your job in a company, you contribute to create a more inclusive world. We work with users every day. We do user testings. With Evolity, we made more than 1,000 user testing just with visually impaired people. And when you finish the pilot, the testing, and that someone blind says, this innovation is a revolution for my everyday life. When you come back at home and talk with your wife, you know why you're doing this job. And so this is our vision, is to give this autonomy for all those people who needs it. They mustn't pay to have an access. When we deploy the traffic light with voice, you don't pay to see the red or the green pedestrian. So they don't have to pay. So this is our common responsibility with public entities, private entities, to give them the same experience like sighted or, let's say, valid people, as we said. So this is something that is really in our DNA every day, to work with those people and to make, step-by-step solutions that will really enhance their mobility. And actually, as I said, we try different solutions, and now working with Pointr is for us a great partnership, because to give those people with disabilities, but any user, a good user experience, we need to have a reliable, an efficient solution, a scalable solution. What I used to say is good to have a little startup to make one pilot, but maybe you're gonna help 10 people. Our goal is to deploy the solution quite widely, and so we needed to have a partner which is very agile, which is customer-based and focused, and we find always solutions, and so we work very closely, and this is a real pleasure for our teams to work with Pointr. And when we have a new building, it's always quite easy, it's smooth, to deliver this great experience to our customers. So yeah, this is really a great partnership.
We feel that, again, all those feelings are mutual. We are incredibly pleased and proud to be part of your journey in our own way. So thank you for having us, and thank you for joining us today as well.
Thank you, Igor.